I'll start over. Hi, everyone, and greetings from Boulder, Colorado. It's great to be with you on this call. As Nick said, I'm a faculty member in the Department of Communication, which is part of our College of Communication, Media Design, and Information. And I've been here since 2008, but prior to that, from 2004 to 2008, I was a PhD student at University of Texas at Austin. And that's where I reconnected with Nick Repact. We had crossed paths previously when I was a graduate student at University of New Mexico, finishing a master's degree, but we kind of bounced around a little bit. Reconnected in Texas and made some great connections. And we also had good connections with faculty and other grad students. We were able to really get something off the ground. And it was a real highlight of my time in my PhD program, not just because of all the great relationships, but because it provided an intellectual and a spiritual framework to help me make sense of the work that I was doing and answer many of the questions that I was wrestling with. Questions of meaning and purpose and trajectory and direction as it relates to Christianity and scholarship and how those things go together. Also navigating areas of family and community and church life and everything that goes with being a Christian in an academic context in a broader community. We were able to do some really exciting things there, including putting together an academic conference that we called the Christian Scholars Forum that we did for 3 years at the University of Texas. That was a wonderful opportunity for graduate students across a variety of different disciplines to submit their academic papers related to issues of integration, broadly defined. So any attempt to integrate one's faith with their scholarship and to present that in a meaningful way. We had people from across the country. And Grad Resources was wonderful to provide the resources to fly people into town and find accommodations. And we had a day-long conference where people presented their work. We had panels on everything from the natural and physical sciences to the humanities to the arts and arts performances, with some featured keynote speakers, wonderful dinners together, a real highlight. And I hope was a model of what can happen when we think critically about integrating our faith and scholarship. I've served on the board of Grad Resources since then in a couple different stints, seeing some of the evolution of the ministry and helping to guide it to further operational and strategic and organizational capacity. And now I'm just, like many of you, an ongoing friend of the ministry and here to help however we can, especially as we enter a new phase with a transition to new leadership, as we'll hear from Eli here shortly. What I would like to do now at this point is do some round screen introductions. And so we're going to take a moment to go around and just give us your name and your previous connection with Grad Resources and what you're up to now. And because we all probably have a different configuration of names on the screen, I'm going to start the hot potato round table introductions here. I'll call on somebody, and when you're done, if you could call on somebody else, we'll wrap it up. So I'm just looking at who's next on my screen. So I'm going to start with Kim Hastings. Would you get us started with some introductions?
Hi, I'm Kim Hastings, and I was part of Grad Resources. I was enrolled in grad school from 2005 to 2010 at Oklahoma State, and got connected with Nick and the resources there, and we got it was already going by the time I came on board, but we continued it through that time frame. So I'll call on Brittany.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brittany Falahola. I got involved with Grad Resources in 2011 when I started graduate school at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. There was already the group started there. I got involved like right away. I knew I needed a Bible study group, and I was grateful to find that group in particular. Was involved my entire 6 years there, helped to lead it and interacted a lot with the group, and I'm really appreciative for it. Now I'm an associate professor at Stephen F. Austin State University in East Texas. So, Axum Jacks. I will call on Judah.
Hello, I'm Judah DePaula. I was in University of Texas at Austin from 2000 2007. My degree is in computer sciences. I left academia and have been working in industry at a company, biotech at Corteva R&D since then. I've got like 5 kids, widower. I knew Nick a lot during that time when I played golf at his golf marathon a few times, stuff like that. So when he sent out this invite to say, come in and see everybody, I said, sure. So let's go for Spiro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Spiro Cusis. I'm a professor of public relations and executive associate dean in the College of Journalism and Communications at the University of Florida. And so far, I'm older than everyone because I was at University of Texas in the late 90s and ran in and connected with Nick and actually did a couple of focus group research things related to grad resources and how could it expand, and grateful for meeting him and being involved at that time. I haven't been as connected since, but Nick has always been a consistent presence in my life, and grateful for the relationship we've had over the years. Thanks. I will call on Douglas.
Hi, my name is Douglas Odongo. I'm a final year doctoral student at the School of Social Work, Mizzou, University of Missouri, Columbia. So I'm just the recent past president of, we call it Christian Grad Fellowship here on campus. I happen to lead for since 2023 to 2025, and I just handed over this past summer. So I think I'm a newbie here, hearing the years you guys graduated. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you. I will call on, let's see, Caroline.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Leverett. Let's see, I met Nick at Emory University when I was getting my PhD. I was there from 2003 to 2008. I think maybe I met Nick 2005-ish or something like that. It wasn't from the beginning. But I was at Emory getting my PhD in organic chemistry. I did a postdoc after that at Texas A&M University, where Nick and I overlapped again, where we were trying to get a chapter started at Texas A&M as well. So we worked together kind of at 2 different universities. There was a lot of connections with InterVarsity there as well at Emory. And so we kind of worked together kind of as a group to get things going. It was, I would say, an incredibly challenging time for me to navigate Christianity at Emory. And so it was just a really bright spot having Grad Resources and InterVarsity come in to really try to help support me through that. Right now I am, well, for the last, I guess, 14 years. So straight out of my postdoc, I took a job at Pfizer. And I am a senior principal scientist there. I'm leading a research group in early stage cancer research. So I have a group of folks that's working on really discovering new medicines for cancer treatments and really enjoying it, and still seeing how God is working. Just, the challenges of being even in management in a company that's not a Christian, and the opportunities to pray with people and support people. So grateful for all of the support through both academia and industry for this type of work. Oh, I guess I need to call on someone. How about Hannah?
Hi, I'm Hannah Walker. I'm the operations manager at Grad Resources starting in October. So I'm very new to the organization, and I'm excited to be here and learn from you guys and hear about all the amazing things that's been done over the past 25 years. I'll call on Eli.
Hey everyone, I'm Eli Mercer, and I'm working with Nick and Hannah. I also came on in October and will be leading this organization to the next season, and just really honored to meet you and learn from you. And my background, I ended up getting my doctorate at Kansas State, and specifically in education, and focused on the role of talent in regional economic development. So been really looking at how to unleash the wiring, gifting, and calling of talent for good as my primary discipline. So grateful to serve in this capacity.
Call on somebody, Eli.
My bad. I dropped the ball. Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Rutledge. Let's see, I started with Grad Resources back in 2010. I graduated from Baylor University in my undergrad, and I had the great pleasure of graduating with Jeffrey, Nick's son. So we got connected, and I graduated from OU in 2010 with my PhD in philosophy. I've bounced around a little bit since then, but now I just started this year as an associate professor of philosophy at Asbury University. So let's see. Let's go with Tom Miller.
Sorry about that. So I'm Tom Miller, and I was the faculty advisor for the grad student group back in the early 90s to maybe 10,000 or to the 200 or to the 2000s. I'm at Oregon State University, and I'm also a member of the faculty and staff Christian group that we have here on campus, and that's been going for a long time, 40 years or so. And we're just trying to develop more community and support for Christian faculty and staff on campus. And I'm going to drop in on the grad student group in the next few weeks and just see how they're doing too. Oh, and so I've lost track to who we've already talked to. Has Michael talked or Judah?
There's
We did. Need a volunteer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of the Michaels, and I don't think either of us has gone yet, so I'll jump in here. I'm Mike Saikuda. I'm a professor at the University of Missouri. We started a Christian faculty and staff group here 2009, 2010, and a year or two after that got started, some guy named Nick reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in starting a Christian grad fellowship?" And I've been the faculty advisor of the group since. So I wasn't sure I was supposed to be on the call. Is not technically an alum, but thought I'd join and hear the stories. And it's great to see Douglas here as our past chair for our chapter here. So since we had a Michael tie, Michael Strauss, how about you next?
Hi, I'm a professor at the University of Oklahoma. I've been here for over 30 years. I've mentored people like Jonathan when he was here. My field of research is experimental particle physics. I do research at CERN laboratory in Geneva, Switzerland. I have known Nick for 25 years or so, been involved with Grad Resources for that long. I have mentored students. I'm a speaker for Grad Resources. In fact, Nick and I may be going to Europe sometime early next year to do some talks for Grad Resources. I have a super heart for graduate students. Graduate school is extremely challenging, and I know, so from personal experience, I know the challenges, and I think it's so important that graduate students of faith learn to integrate their faith with their academics. I was challenged to do that as an assistant professor, and I've been able to do that all over the world. It's been a great privilege. So I guess that's kind of me. This is a terrible idea to have us call on people because we have no idea who's talked after a while. So I think Ben has not talked. Ben, if you haven't talked, go ahead.
That's correct. I have not talked. First of all, hello to Matt. It's been almost 18 years or something like that since I think I last talked to you. Good to hear your voice once again. Nick, I don't know how many years it's been since we actually talked in person, but great to hear your voice again too. I got started at the University of Texas Austin in 2002, and at the time, Grad Resources was allowed to basically purchase the incoming graduate school email directory. And so I got an email in my box, and it was like the easiest thing in the world to say, like, well, that's definitely something that I want to go be a part of. And got involved in some of those early meetings, and basically stuck with it until I finished up, saw it transform over the years, did a one of those I think I only did one of the grad scholars forums at some point. So, that was a gem. Did finally finish my my degree after an interminable lengthy amount of time. And like since then, I've kind of moved on. I'm currently actually in the tech world doing generative AI type stuff. Fun thing, like everybody in the department that's been hired here are all liberal arts masters or better. So there's 3 PhDs that sit on my row that because they need the liberal arts expertise to assess various things that the model's doing. So fun stuff. And at this point, I think I see 17 on the call, and I imagine at least 15 have spoken. So if you haven't spoken, go ahead and pipe up.
Carson Meredith, the oldest one in the group. Go ahead, tell us.
Thank you for that distinction, Nick.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but so anyway, it's a pleasure to be here today and meet everybody. So I was a PhD student in chemical engineering at University of Texas at Austin, starting in 1993 and finished there in 1998 and have been at Georgia Tech in the chemical and biomolecular engineering program since the year 2000, so for a while. But it's really neat to hear about all of the stories of people that have come. It sounds like after that time, and it's really neat to see this group of people. So thanks. And I guess Spiro hasn't gone yet, and David?
No, I have.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't catch that one.
I called him out.
Okay.
I think we've hit everyone, haven't we?
All right.
I didn't.
All right.
I didn't talk.
Oh yes, David, you joined late. Welcome.
Yes, I apologize. I was in a financial meeting, a personal financial meeting, so I had to give priority to that.
We're just saying name, university, what year, how you got connected with Grad Resources.
Okay, so David Woodburn, University of Central Florida, and what year? Good grief. 2007, I think, was when I started. And I cannot for the life of me remember how on earth we got connected. I remember specific moments, you encouraging me with the group that I was helping lead, and I can't remember how it all started.
That's okay, David. I can't remember much of the past either, but it's a function of age with me. Anyone else that did not introduce? Let me give just a little bit of history. So we began with a national study on lifestyle challenges, values of grad students through Barna Research. Sorry we couldn't show you the video because I am technologically inept. But we also went on to create from that study 3 articles on the research summary, advisor relationships, and emotional fatigue, maximizing mentor potential. The graduate dean at UT Austin got a copy of those papers and invited Dr. Rob Coons and myself to speak at grad orientation starting in '93. And Carson was working the orientation table after the event. We had 1,000 people there. We spoke on academic integrity. Rob was brilliant. I was funny. And at the end of it, we had 300 graduate students sign up to get a copy of those articles. And so that launched us in this realm of speaking at orientations. So then Berkeley had us speak every year for 10 years or so on time management and stress for grad students. But then we heard about a student named Jason Alton at Harvard who was oppressed by his advisor and took his own life. And we realized that an article on stress or talk on time management isn't going to help a person at that point of despair. So we created the National Grad Crisis Line. Since that time in 1999, thousands of graduate students each year have their lives saved by calling 877 Grad Help. It was Terry Sullivan who helped us launch that crisis line at UT Austin, and it has now been ramped up in this partnership with Boys Town, and I'll let Eli mention that as we go on a little further. But it was a year after we started the crisis line that I learned that Jason Alton had been a believer involved in a ministry as an undergrad that never got connected at Harvard with a grad fellowship. And so we started creating Christian grad fellowships around the country. And with the help of so many wonderful Christian professors like Mike Sakuda, Mike Strauss, Carson at Georgia Tech, and so many others, we were able to launch grad fellowships using faculty as advisors, as greeters, as mentors. And it snowballed in the first year with 15 new grad fellowships started. And then I started to pray, God, give us 50 chapters by the time I'm 50 years old. Well, that was 20 years ago, and we had over 50 by the time I was 50. And it was just so wonderful to see what God did in terms of raising up student leaders. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to tell a little bit of your memories or your stories from your grad experience. We would love to hear from you. Keep it brief because we want to make sure we keep the time frame, but we definitely want to hear what God did in your lives as a result.
I can start a little bit. So my PhD is in a very, very, very similar field to Jason Altman, the fellow who committed suicide, the same kind of area of organic chemistry. And it's a just very, very intense field. So I felt that a lot, even down at Emory. I was really struggling with working with a pretty challenging PI during grad school when Grad Resources, I don't remember actually, maybe it was Chandra Crane with InterVarsity that came in first and then Nick came in, but we all kind of worked together. I didn't have a lot of time. I was working, crazy PhD hours, but the few hours that I did have that I could go and, join a time of prayer or whatever we were doing that week became a lifeline for me and the connections that I made there. So that was a really important time for me. I remember there was one particular time when Nick was coming to do a pizza social toward the beginning of the year. And I was hanging up flyers inside the chemistry building to advertise it and hanging it up, on the bulletin boards and literally watching them get pulled off the bulletin board and thrown into the trash can. And I had a pile of about 50 of them. I just kept going and putting another one up. And I actually ended up finding out a little later, it was actually one of my advisors I saw pull it down and put it in the trash, one of the advisors on my PhD committee, which was also, it was very annoying, but it also was very eye-opening, right? About some of like how hostile things can be towards Christianity in academia. And now I see it a little bit in industry as well, maybe not quite as extreme. But that definitely made me realize kind of the importance of being dedicated to get something going, kind of motivated me even more, I guess, to keep something going get something going at the university there at Emory. And like I said, it just really did become a lifeline for me. So that's kind of one of my memories. And I loved coming to the retreats that were, I don't remember where exactly they were, but Nick invited us a few years and that was really fun. And getting picked up in the green car was awesome. So, lots of good memories.
Very funny, Carolyn. It was in Dallas and it was the Interstate Batteries limousine that came to pick up so many of you to come to the summit.
It's the only time I've ever been in a limo in my life. And I thoroughly,
there you go.
So there you go.
We treat you guys right. Someone else.
I'll jump in. One of the things that I really appreciated during my time with Grad Resources was coming into academia. It's hard to know how to balance just being open about your faith within your discipline. And I was very fortunate in philosophy where I was. My advisor was a Christian. Of course, I had Mike there as well. But I think in particular, Mike gave a talk while we were there that was on sort of science and Christianity kinds of things. And it just showed me really quickly how having a speaking platform as a PhD in physics can immediately build bridges with people who otherwise are very nervous about someone who might be a Christian. And then also, you mentioned, Carolyn, the retreats. I think I really had a hunger for seeing someone who was an evangelical Christian philosopher, and meeting Greg Gansel there really sort of changed the imagination that I had for what my career could look like going forward, because of how he just embodied being a philosopher who was for the gospel and spreading it to people and trying to really speak, the gospel into the lives of students who were there and disciple them. So it really has meant a lot. It's been definitive in many ways for how I've gone on since then.
I'll jump in next after Jonathan. Jonathan, I'm also a Baylor alum. I graduated in 2011. I got a degree in mathematics and then went on to University of Nebraska-Lincoln to get a PhD in math. And man, you saying Greg Gansel, I'm like, I haven't thought about that name in a long time. And his stuff was amazing. I loved it. But my involvement with the Bible study group at UNL, kind of held together by Grad Resources, there are a couple of things that come to mind of why it was so kind of life-sustaining in those grad school times. Was one, I remember my first year, all of us first year math grad students were really stressed about a homework problem. We're working, it's past 5 o'clock. My Bible study starts at 5:30, and we're all stressed out. And I just looked at all my my fellow grad math students and was like, I don't know, guys, I'm going to Bible study. And it gave me like just an outlet from the like stress of banging your head against the wall sometimes in those, especially in those first few years getting acquainted with grad school. And then also it gave me the opportunity to actually meet students not in my discipline. And I would not have had that at all if I didn't have Grad Resources and the Bible study group at UNL, which brought together graduate students. I thought it was really unique. I mean, I got connected with a church in town, but at Grad Resources, our Bible study group was actually how I, kind of had that Bible connection. And I didn't really feel like I don't know how to connect to the young 20-somethings that I was that weren't in grad school. So it was really nice to have something on campus that I didn't have any excuses. It's literally on campus. It was with other grad students also stressed out about things. So I knew we were going to keep it to about an hour, right? Like, it was a wonderful time. I also knew coming from Baylor that I needed, like, Baylor's a Christian school. I had it supported through the university. My faith was supported, and I was going to a school that was not at all Christian. And I was going to the Midwest, which I didn't know was going to be so kind of apathetic towards faith. And in Mike's talk, Mike Strauss came to talk, and I think he gave the Evidence for God talk at our school. And I remember how heartbroken I felt for the students that I heard who were asking questions and how lost I felt like they were. And I was just so grateful in that moment that I had my faith, but also that I had this Bible study group and a group of people on campus who I knew that I could relate to and that we could like reach out to others with. So yeah, it was awesome.
Okay. How many remember this retreat in 2010? Kim, can you see yourself there? Brittany? No, I guess this was, but if you'll see in the corner is William Lane Craig, who was our speaker for that year. And it was many years that we hosted the Leadership Summit at the Beckett Ranch in Dallas. So some of you recall that. I know, Carson, you were there. Carol, what an amazing time that was. So it was very special to have you guys be a part of that. Who else?
I'll say something. Picking up on something Brittany said, one thing I found and definitely found in grad school is I had definitely a local church community there, but because, it's a minority of people that even go to grad school, and I think we're wired a little bit different. in that we think about things. We like to ask open-ended questions and just discuss things, sometimes for the sake of discussing them. And I think that not everybody understands that, and it's nice to find like-minded Christians who also are wired the same way. And that was a meaningful thing about Grad Resources for me. Plus all of the practical things that Nick and others kind of plugged us into, in terms of time management and just dealing with difficult advisors and things like that. We're very practical and hands-on. We're very helpful. So, yeah.
I'll just echo like things people have already said, just the community outside of your degree. That was really nice because I don't know about you guys, but I felt like, oh, I talked about my discipline up and down, but having normal conversations, I felt like it broadened my social ability to have conversations. And then there's just the shared camaraderie of being a Christian on campus and in a PhD program.
Who else? Anyone? Let me ask, how many of you have seen Michael Strauss do his talk on scientific evidence for God? Mike, you've been on a lot of campuses. We're so grateful for what you've done to serve. I want to take a moment and just talk about some of those that I consider to have been heroes of the faith who planted us in those critical locations. It was Carson, who was in that first Bible study at UT Austin with Rod Coons and Gordon and a couple of others, just a small handful of students who literally pioneered the Christian Grads Fellowship. And then it was Carson who started us at Georgia Tech. And because we were at Georgia Tech, we went to UGA and we started at Emory. And it was Glenn who actually was the only person allowed to put up flyers because Grad Resources couldn't be at Emory. And so Glenn with InterVarsity reserved rooms, put up flyers, and became so taken with the impact of the grad fellowship that he joined the staff of grad ministry with InterVarsity, and that group continues to flourish today. I can never forget one of my dear friends at UCF who shared with us, similar to a story that you mentioned, Carolyn, that she was in the faculty lounge when one of the profs said, "I don't think anyone still believes in Jesus today." And Michelle spoke up and said, "I'm a Christ follower, and I'm a part of a group here at UCF, grad students who are actively talking about Jesus in our department." And it was also at UCF, David, this is a good bit before you, Monas was an international student. Do you remember him?
I do.
Every Easter and every Christmas, he invited the international students into his home for breakfast, where he shared the Christmas story with 20 to 30 international student friends every Easter and every Christmas. It was Mike, when we started at Mizzou, that first time we hosted that pizza luncheon, Mike printed 1,000 flyers himself and stuffed TA mailboxes across the campus in order to get us started there. When we first had our meeting there were, and Mizzou Info allowed us to put an ad, and we would get 30 to 50 people responding. "I want to be a part of this group that discusses faith and academics." And I went to that first meeting, looked around the table and saw Tuck and Justin and said, "You guys are the leaders," and they led it for the next 5 years. It's unbelievable the impact that they've had. Okay, I've got to ask, how many of you are Mizzou people? Come on. I know. There you go. Douglas. Okay, you can't see them, but there's several that are on the call who are current Mizzou or recent grads of the Mizzou Fellowship. The Arizona State group only had 2 or 3 students involved. And Dan came to that. And once Dan got involved and Claire McQuarrie got involved, that duo took that group from 2 to 40 within that next semester. And it was unbelievable how God saw so much life change as a result of that. And then Claire went to Mizzou and was instrumental in leading that team to see growth in that Mizzou fellowship. So I appreciate people like Claire and Carolyn who served at more than one campus during their grad times. And there are so many stories that I could tell, but I've got to just say, I'm amazed at what God did through you to touch the lives of your peers on your campus during your time there. It was not an accident that you were there. It was not life on hold as a grad student waiting to be a professor or industry leader or whatever. You were intentional about being impactful during that time. And I can only tell you, there is more and greater yet to come. We were just the introductory chapter of what God did in the lives of grad students through Grad Resources. But what is going to happen in the next generation of leadership as Eli Mercer takes over Grad Resources, we will all watch in amazement as God uses this ministry to expose millions of grad students to the services, the communities, and the life-saving power of the gospel. So I'd like to introduce you to my new friend, Eli Mercer, the new CEO and director of Grad Resources.
Well, I must say, Nick, that it's your passion and your sincerity and your commitment to this mission that I believe has sustained it over the 35 years. And it is a tremendous honor to get to be part of this team. I've met several of you and come to know a couple of you pretty well. Many of you I have never met before, but I can tell you that I feel sincerely called to this ministry personally and in my walk with the Lord. And I think that's what makes Grad Resources special. The testimony that you've just shared of how it touched your lives and how it shaped your lives. I'm just truly honored to be part of it. And I take this very seriously spiritually, but I also do professionally. You know, I'm 53, and I never in a million years thought that I would end up leading a ministry at this age. But I felt called a year ago by the Lord to obey His call to pastoral ministry. And all I can say is that this ministry is an answer to prayer. I work full-time through 4 degrees, and I'm really grateful for every graduate school experience that I've had. But I can tell you that I did find Christian community while in grad school, but it wasn't through Grad Resources. I would have loved to have had a Grad Resources in my graduate school experience. Local churches and other ministries were instrumental, but I can tell you that your testimony is evidence of the fruit of this ministry. And so the first thing I asked when Nick and I decided to lock arms and carry this into the future is, where are the alumni and how do I engage them and how do I learn from them and how do we get their voices involved in the work that we're doing? And I can't tell you how gratifying it is and how edifying it is to hear your hearts for what this ministry has done for you so far. Couple of things I just want to bring up that we're looking to do in the coming year. My background is around technology and entrepreneurship. So I've been building organizations, leveraging technology, and helping organizations to scale globally. That's what I've done through my career, or building capacity in others, launching teams who are doing the same thing. So Nick has done a great job, and all of you who've contributed to this have done a great job of really proving out the need and also finding creative ways to meet the needs on campuses. And what I'm excited about now is beginning to do things like we're building a new website. And we're really excited about creating a highly interactive and highly representative digital footprint so that people, students, and us as alumni or as contributors can actively engage so that faculty and staff and students and local churches can all participate in what the Lord is doing on these campuses. The second thing we're doing is we're developing a searchable database. It's been amazing over the last several months as I've gotten to know Nick. Every time a topic comes up, I'll ask him if we have any information on it. And the amount of amazing papers and workshops and Bible studies and materials and resources we have at our disposal are incredible over 35 years. But we don't have that readily accessible. And everyone calls Nick, which is a blessing. But we're going to create a searchable database so students can find the resource they need when they need it. The third big thing we're doing is we're looking at different ways to engage campuses and grow to campuses that have never had a graduate focused ministry on them before. One of my very first calls was with a senior leader at Crew, who let me know at that time as a newbie to campus ministry as a professional that we're touching 10 to 15% of the campuses in the United States that have a graduate program, and that there are other ministries on those campuses, but there's a huge blue ocean opportunity to go on to campuses that have not been touched in the past and to start new chapters. We're excited about that. A couple of things I'll mention very briefly. And I want to introduce Hannah Walker. Hannah is a friend that I've known for years. She and my wife have become close friends, and we have admired her talent and just her person for a very long time. And when Nick and I were praying for the Lord to bring the right person to join the team, literally, I believe that she was an answer to prayer for this team. And I want to introduce her. She's highly trained. She's an Aggie. She's a design architect. She's run large-scale projects, especially in building technologies. And I know she's highly credentialed in that area as well. But she is at a stage of life where she's bringing up her kids, as we are, small kids, and is available to do something in ministry. She feels called to ministry and service, and we're honored to have her with us. I would like to first just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Hannah. And two, could you talk a little bit about the video testimonial initiative that we're starting that you've put together?
Sure. Thanks for the introduction. Have not done a graduate degree myself, but I have had a spouse who has been through a graduate degree and working, so I saw that firsthand. I had a brother-in-law that did graduate degree in law school, so it's very easy to see the stress and the lack of connection and resources that they had available to them. So I'm really excited to be working with Eli and Nick on this. We are thinking about different ways to engage our audiences and engage more people. And one thing that we found that can be really impactful is people's real stories. And some of the stories that you all have shared here has been really, really cool to hear. Because I think a lot of people don't know the scope of Grad Resources, all the people it's touched, all the lives it's touched. And so one thing we're trying to do during this season, it's the end of the year, and our board of directors are so excited about the new vision that Eli has for the organization. And if we can have some time, Eli, I think it's really exciting what you had talked about with co-writing papers and things like that. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that before we jump off. But really excited about his vision. And so we're asking people to film on themselves some, 60 to 90-second testimonial videos. What we're going to do as part of that searchable database is have a testimonial video section, and we'll have people that can say, oh, I'd love to hear what students had to say, or alumni, or professors, or, faculty. And we've written a little draft script that have a couple of prompt questions, a couple of included some tips and tricks as to how to shoot a video if you haven't done it before. And we'd like to feature those on social media to get the word out and hopefully encourage more people to get involved in this next chapter. So I think hopefully everyone received an email with those instructions. It would be amazing if you guys could contribute in that way and just do a quick little video. I will say I did one to help give a little bit of a guide, and I did it, 10, 15 times until I got, and once it's kind of awkward at the beginning, and then once you get going, it just makes it easier and easier. So it's a little bit of encouragement on that side, is that it's not so hard, but maybe the first one feels really awkward and then it gets easier after that. So we would really appreciate it if you guys would help us with that, to kickstart those and start to build out that database. And we're really excited to see all those come back.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you, Hannah. And it's an example of the Lord has brought 3 different generations together with 3 different skill sets and backgrounds. And it's so cool to have Hannah, who's more age appropriate for the typical grad student population, but me as a Gen Xer, and then, of course, the wisdom that Nick brings of 35 years of experience. And so we're finding creative ways to sort of take this foundation that's been built and take it to the next level. The stories that you guys have shared today, I believe, are the most important to being able to grow this community and make people aware and get them engaged. My first question to Nick whenever we met was, where are the students and alumni when I go to the website? I want to see real people sharing real stories and engaging in meaningful ways. And I think every other user wants the same. We're also interested in longer form video. If you're interested in sharing a major life event or going deeper in your testimony, there were a couple of you that really, I've got notes here, I'll probably be reaching out because they were so meaningful and touching, and I think things that would move the hearts of our students and stakeholders. I may be reaching out to see if you'd be interested in shooting a longer form video. The 2 other things I want to mention real briefly, and then we'll wrap up. Another area of opportunity, and Mike Strauss and others here are excellent examples, and that is around speaking and mentoring. Mike Sakuda and the great work that you're doing at Mizzou. We need more mentors. We need speakers, and you guys are amazing in your fields. Just hearing your backgrounds and the work that you're currently doing, I can't wait to dig deeper and learn more about that. But if you have interest in engaging students either on your campus or other campuses, and if you have interest in speaking or sharing something about your topic or your experience, let us know. And last but not least, she had mentioned that one of the things we're doing, and I'll use the example of psychological health. We've been building some of our efforts around what we're calling the big 6 needs of graduate students based on research around spiritual needs, educational and scholarly needs, career needs, financial needs, health, both physical and psychological, and the psychological health issue is really skyrocketing, and then relational needs. And in the area of, Nick mentioned our partnership with the hotline in Boys Town. I just spent 2 hours this morning. We're building a really amazing agreement because we have years of data of people calling, how many, why, and where are they calling from. And that is real-time information, several hundred calls a month on average. Sometimes that spikes at certain seasons of the year, that we can use that data as something we can analyze, draw conclusions from, and then find gaps to serve students better. It's an example of some of the things we're doing. We're also forming a task force around that particular need, sort of an advisory board. We've got a faculty member, we've got a practitioner that's a caregiver, and a PhD student who've already stepped up and said that they want to contribute to really studying what's going on in the life of the grad student. How are they being affected psychologically, and what needs can we, or what resources can we bring to bear to meet those needs more effectively? Kind of like that Barna research study that kicked us off. We're starting that in every single area. So if you have something in your discipline that you identify as meaningful, that you would like to contribute to co-author a paper, or to contribute as a participant in our research, please let us know. And I make myself fully available. I'm having a ball. When the board asked me to put together a plan for the first year, the first thing I said is I want to go on a listening tour. And so I've had the privilege of meeting with over 100 different stakeholders in the last 6 weeks, and engaging 6 different campuses. And that doesn't sound like much, but in 6 weeks, it's a lot. And all I can say, it's the greatest joy in my life. And I would love to hear from you and have a virtual cup of coffee. And if you're in town, come eat and let's sit down and have a conversation. So last but not least, Hannah did mention a $70,000 matching gift. I'm humbled to say that our board has come together and put up $70,000 to match donations dollar for dollar, so that we can make our budget for the coming year and roll out our new website, our interactive database, and our campus engagement initiative. So I would encourage you to prayerfully consider. It doesn't matter the size of the gift. I think what matters is that we prayerfully consider and that we pitch in, and that those 2 shekels, our families put in our 2 shekels. We believe in this mission. So we invite you to take part in that if you're so inclined. And God bless you guys.
Thank you. So before we wrap up, I have handed the mantle over to Matt Koshman to show a couple of videos. Start with the first one, if you would, Matt.
I'm Alyssa, and I am in my second year of a combined master's and PhD program at Missouri. And so, as he said, I study communication and public policy, which is a fancy way of saying I study how our communication helps foster children assimilate into their foster families. And then how do they form their identity, and how do we make that into policy to help these children be successful in life? So I could talk about that all day. What you're probably interested in is, how did I get connected with Christian Grad Fellowship? Well, I'm from Nebraska originally, and so when Ethan and Tara were on staff with Crew, I obviously knew them. And I was sitting in my dorm room with Tara, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, and I'm thinking about grad school. And she's like, well, Ethan got this new job, and we would love to connect you once you figure out where you're going. So I decided on Mizzou, and they said, hey, we're going to fly out to the summit. We're going to get you connected before you even go to school. We're going to set you up well. It's going to be great. So here I was last year sitting at this table, and I came away with 3 big misconceptions. The first one being, I don't understand how grad school can be that hard. All right. Second, they're really that lonely and isolated? Like, are they all socially awkward? Like, I just don't get it. And the third one being, I'm going to be like the exception. I'm going to be well-rounded. There's no way this will consume my life. So, optimistic Alyssa gets to Missouri, and my world was turned upside down rather quickly. If you've seen anything about Mizzou in the news, you know that racial tension was big on our campus. My first day, instead of being a TA with 50 wide-eyed freshmen, I was out on a protest for grad insurance rights. And then my advisor was a unique challenge. And for the first time, school was incredibly, incredibly difficult. I was thinking quick. And I went through a really tough breakup, and a friend of mine was in a car accident and passed away, and my world was crashing down within a month. And so what happened to Alyssa? Well, CGF was literally the key that got me through. It's the reason I'm here. It did 3 big things for me. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. But the first one was I got connected to friends, people that really walked life with me. So Hannah is actually here today. She was one of the first people I met at CGF, and she just loved me so well. And I am so thankful for the lifetime friendships. It gave me a place to belong, a place that I was loved and cared for, a place where I understood my purpose in academics and that this wasn't in vain. And it got me through. It's plain and simple, it got me through. And not only did it help me, but the coolest part is I had a mentor. She's a third-year PhD. We always get paired up with someone. And she asked, Alyssa, how in the world did you survive this year? Like, you just walked through some really tough stuff. Like, how are you together? And I was telling her about Grad Resources and what we were. And she's like, you know, I'm really interested in that. Like, I would love to go to church with you. She's not a believer. And she knows that I'm here this weekend. And she actually called me today. And she was like, hey, when you get back, I would really like to know about Jesus and how this is working, because I see that this organization is allowing you to love people and love academics, and you're excited to come back, and like, I don't have that. And so would you please just help me to fall in love with the music of the gospel that I want to experience? And that's not her terminology, but this organization has given me the avenue to give her a tangible Jesus. And so thank you so much for your support. I'm literally here today because of you, so thank you.
I want to welcome Dr. Rob Coombs to our group. And Matt, if you'll play this next video, we'll get a little intro to Rob.
There may be occasions that still don't seem to allow you many options for resolution within your department. An older graduate student can be a wealth of information if they've encountered similar difficulties in their experience, or in other cases, we certainly recommend that you get involved in the Grad Student Association. In this way, that may provide avenue for you to help your own cause and also to prove helpful to advance the condition for other graduate students.
To be successful in graduate school, you must keep your mind fixed on your ultimate objectives. Periodically evaluate whether your life is moving in the right direction. I found myself that a very valuable source of guidance in maintaining this kind of direction is the work of the philosopher Aristotle. I'm going to mention a little bit of some of the themes that I found in his book, The Nicomachean Ethics, that are relevant to these problems of character and community.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Not quite so much here. So apologize for being late for the meeting as well. Absent-minded professor there, I'm afraid. So, but wow, takes me way back.
Why don't you say another word, Rob, to give us a little of your background?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I met Nick when Grad Resources was just launching, and to be honest, I didn't realize that. I thought it was already an ongoing thing when I joined up, but it sounded perfect to me, and it still sounds perfect to me. It sounds like the kind of thing that all Christians in academia, professors, should be involved in, right? It's just a natural community there for us to reach the community that's really needy in lots of ways, and that is open to new ideas, and so it's and my involvement with Nick and Grad Resources over these years has, more than fulfilled my highest expectations. It's been the most important, most rewarding part of my ministry as a Christian professor. So really, really grateful to Nick and all that he's done, and grateful to Dr. Mercer and taking up the baton and moving it forward for another generation.
Rob, it just means so much to have you partner with us. And it is exciting now to see Eli taking this. I'd like to ask Eli to close our time in prayer.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Rob. And I do want to thank you also, Matt, for leading this call. Just truly grateful, and your welcoming whenever we had our meeting was meaningful to me, and I just want to thank you for that. Lord, we just come before you today, and we thank you for the fellowship and the relationships and the stories of testimony that have been shared today. Thank you for the legacy of leadership and countless hours and years poured into this mission. Lord, we pray that these mustard seeds planted all over the country, Lord, that they come to harvest for your kingdom. We ask you, Lord, to lead us and guide us as we make our plans and diligently work together to serve you, Lord. We just pray that you guide every step, that every word be spoken through us by you for your divine purposes, Lord. We pray for students on campuses right now and those that are going to be going into break. We know this is a time of challenge for students. And we know that our crisis line experiences a lot of calls in this season. Lord, be with those students, especially those who can't go home for the holidays. We pray that you bring a person into their lives that can host them or be with them at this time. Lord, thank you for all of these wonderful people who are on the call today. Bless them richly. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, everyone.
Mike, you have one other thing you wanted to say, Dr. Strauss?
No, I really don't have anything to say. It's been great.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought I saw a hand up.
Nope.
That was me, Nick. The other Mike.
Oh,
yes.
I just wanted to say, for those alumni and others who haven't had the pleasure of meeting Eli personally, we had the pleasure of hosting him here at Mizzou a few weeks ago. Happened to be a week, we have a lot of international students in our fellowship, and it happened to be a week where they were doing a potluck, brought in a bunch of their own cultural foods. Eli was fantastic, and the students really enjoyed meeting him. I had coffee with him the next morning, and some of the students joined us. And I am really excited for Eli's leadership and where this is going and the heart he brings for it. So I just wanted to share that perspective as a faculty advisor. For those of you that may not have met Eli yet, we're really looking forward to his ministry in this role.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike, thank you for that gracious word about Eli. I have found him to be passionate about this future and about the ministry to grad students. Again, Eli, grateful for you and the future that you're going to bring to this ministry. And to all of you who are part of our history, praise God. You have been a blessing in my life more than you will ever know. So thank you for participating. And again, look for you at the 50th reunion. Bless you all.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
for all you do, Nick.
Thanks for joining the call.
Thank you.